There are certain elements of World War II which remain a mystery to many people. It's unlikely that many outside of Australia have heard of the battle for Kokoda, the story of which has become to Australia what Gallipoli was in World War I, a defining symbol of nationhood, pluckiness and the embodiment of a larrikin spirit. Kokoda, which was recently staged at Tara Arts in Earlsfield as part of its international summer season, is a one-man show which focuses on the fictional story of Private Maurice Powell and his band of mates. The production is a series of vignettes, using the bare minimum of setting and props that leads us through the story of the Kokoda track campaign of 1942. Before the fighting begins, we learn that Maurice is not here out of a fierce desire to see any of the action that's coming. He didn't sign up to join the AIF, Australian Imperial Force, because he didn't want to fight the Germans. But the girls in Melbourne that Maurice and his pals have their eyes on have refused to go out with a group of men they consider cowards, so Powell and his friends, the Zorro gang, have been attracted by the prospect of some free time in the remote northern islands of Papua New Guinea, where they can see out the war in comfort, drinking beer, mixing with the locals, and being paid to do not a lot. Now the war is coming to them, and whether they like it or not, and mostly they really don't like it at all. There's confusion and indecision. The generals in charge can't seem to make up their minds as to when or where the Japanese will attack from, and most of the white settlers have abandoned the capital of Port Moresby, fleeing back to the relative safety of mainland Australia. The motley band of volunteers has had little training. They don't even know how to fire the guns that haven't yet reached them. There's no plan, no defence tactics, and no one with any real clue of what might happen. Jaden Marshall's performance is superb. As Powell's war experience becomes more and more real, we see the dread, the fear, the depression writ large across Marshall's youthful face. He's been entrusted with relating a lot of story, and indeed there's so much plot that a lot of it gets lost and confused. There were points where I wasn't sure where or when we were. This does, though, accurately represent the real conflict. There was lots of movement of troops around the islands, and the circumstances they were forced to endure were appalling. Loss of life came as much from disease and lack of food as it did from enemy action. At the end, the confusion continues. We're told in a piece of film that Bruce Kingsbury was awarded the Victoria Cross for his action at Kokoda. But the way that moment is staged makes it seem like Maurice Powell is Kingsbury. He plainly isn't, but until I checked the show's flyer, I was uncertain as to whose story I was now being told. A slightly confused but ultimately engaging retelling of one of the bloodiest and most devastating South Pacific campaigns of World War II. 4 stars out of 5.